Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Oh, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Hello and welcome to, well, what we call the Monday Movie Show, but we've now just gone and screwed so badly with the name that it is now just called the Movie Show. It should just be called the Movie Show, considering how much we move this around so much. And do you want to divulge to the people why we're on a Tuesday?
Well, I said I would. Basically, I got locked out of my house last night because I was somewhere which is quite far away where my other half lives. I was there and then I came back and I got home and then found I'd left my keys there. So I couldn't get into my house to be able to do the show last night. And then I had technical problems with sound cables and things and oh god.
So let's just say if you normally tune in to listen to the show on a Monday and find out we're on a Sunday and you've got used to us actually moving to a Sunday, but now you're actually finding that we're on a Tuesday night this week, send all your hatred towards Andrew. He's at HDVD on Twitter. Just spam his Twitter feed with lots of hatred the fact that we're not live on the day that our show name says we should be. Monday.
Yeah, well, we weren't the only show that moved this week.
Yeah, I know, but normally shows move a day before. In our case, we normally are on a Sunday, but not on a Tuesday. Tuesday is weird beyond weird.
I know. Honestly, it was a genuine mistake. I got home and oh, where's my keys? Oh no. And phone up and I was like, yeah, did I leave a pair of trousers there with something in the pocket? It was like, yeah, my keys in it. Yeah, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, so we're here to review films. And so this week we're looking at these films in the cinema.
Denzel Washington stars in The Equalizer. We have the latest from David Cronenberg with an all-star cast in Map to the Stars. We have a British film comedy with What We Did on Our Holiday. Yeah,
and on home release we're looking at these movies.
We have the last Hayao Miyazaki movie from Studio Ghibli. Is it
yep.
Miyazaki?
Yep.
I got a foreign name right, yay. With The Wind Rises. We have the sequel to 300 with 300 Rise of an Empire. We have the animation version, the film version of Postman Pat in Postman Pat movie. We have an Adam Sandler comedy in Blended. And then we're rounding out with a couple of films with Fading Gigolo and Dario Argento's Dracula.
Yep, and on top of that we have the usual stuff in the home release section. We'll look at the Blu-ray and DVD top 10. This week we will be looking at the Blu-ray and DVD top 10, unlike last show when we couldn't, because we did the show strangely at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We also have TV movies of the week. I really hope that you've got a TV movie of the week. The UK box office top 10, but we'll kick things off with movie news. However, make sure you check out our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk, where even though the post goes up on there, I'm really going to hound you on this week's show about what you've done. But even though the post goes up now, I didn't change it, and so you normally find the post on a Thursday night to find out when the show is going to air, supposedly. You can also get us on Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, Twitter @Monday Movie Show. As I said, Andy's at EHDVD, hound him on there. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole. You can also email us, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. Let's kick things off with your solitary piece of news.
Yeah, well, I have news this week. I finally got some news. The director of Hansel and Gretel sequel, yet to be titled, has now left and departed from doing that. He was involved as writer. Tommy Wirkola was his name. He was listed as being the writer and director on the next movie, but has actually left the movie apparently under terms that he hopes to still be involved with it, but he gave an announcement out that I've just decided not to direct Hansel and Gretel 2. I have been lately attached to a few more things. It's just a matter of time and priorities. I did Dead Snow 1, then Hansel and Gretel 1, then Dead Snow 2. I want to do something a little bit different now and not just do sequels. I did write the script and I hope to be involved in it, but yeah, I won't be directing it.
Just quickly on Dead Snow 2, have you seen the trailer for it?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I really can't wait for this, because Tommy McCall, I really like Dead Snow. The first film, it is really good. Hansel and Gretel is terrible. It is really, really bad. Dead Snow 2, though, looks a hell of a lot of fun. You know when you watch Brain Dead for the first time, the zombie film where it's even non-horror...
I've seen it. It's comedy.
Yeah, even non-horror fans can enjoy Brain Dead because it's not scary. It's all about the humour, the over-the-top, just gore. And that's what Dead Snow 2 looks like. It looks insane. I'm sort of glad that he's stepping away from Hansel and Gretel. I know he said that he's going to be involved in it in some way, shape or form. Well, he would like to be involved in it in some way, shape or form. Give it to somebody else, because what he did with Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, doesn't bode well for a sequel.
I didn't dislike it. I thought it was okay, and it wasn't anything special. But I didn't hate it as much as you did. Tell you what trailer. Talking of that film, I mean, it had Famke Hunt in it. Tell you another film I've seen trailer for today, which was that Taken 3 or Take 3 and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've done that. That's awful. I hate when they do that. I've watched the trailer as well now.
I actually like the look of the film. It looks like they're doing something different, and I like the look of it.
Well,
better than Taken 2 anyway.
Firstly, they're not doing anything different because they're just doing Taken. But it does look interesting, to be honest. I watched once I got to the end of the trailer, I thought, actually, this doesn't look too bad. It had the spirit of the first one.
I just think that it had like Taken 2. There's always jokes about Taken for the money and stuff like that. This one looks like Taken on the road.
Yeah, it's just took because it's going to be his last one. Yeah, he says it's going to be his last one.
Until it makes a ton of money, and then they offer him more money to be Taken 4.
Until they do
it'll be 2 Falcon.
Yeah, until they do a spin-off version of it, a bit like the Bourne films, and then realise it's better with Liam Neeson and get him back for a 5th one. Right, my movie news is, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Japanese telecommunications company SoftBank are in negotiations to buy DreamWorks Animation. DreamWorks Animation Board had a meeting earlier last week about the offer, which is around about $3.4 billion. If true, then the studio CEO, Jeffrey Katzenberg, will stay on as head of the studio for a further 5 years.
I think DreamWorks Animation... I think it'd be sad to see it bought over by anyone else, because I think it's just finally coming into its own with things like How to Train Your Dragon 2. The first one was really good, but the second one was absolutely amazing, and it's just come into its own, I think, as a really great, outstanding animation studio, and I would hate to see it get stifled down, it gets bought over by someone else.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, though, is the price tag of $3.4 billion. A couple of weeks ago, Microsoft bought Mojang, who makes Minecraft, and they paid $2.5 billion for Mojang, who's made one game. Yeah, they've made Scrolls, and there was another game, but Scrolls bombed, and the other game, which was getting created by the head of Mojang, that was cancelled. So they've only made Minecraft, yet Microsoft paid $2.5 billion for just one game, practically. Yet this company here is going to get DreamWorks Animation, who's starting to, like you said, come into their own, for only $3.4 billion. That's slightly less than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that, but the thing is, if you think about it, the only films they've had that have been really, really successful have been How to Train Your Dragon and the Shrek films. Everything else they've done hasn't been that big of a deal. I mean, they've done things like you had Megamind, and I think it was them that did the whole Monsters versus Aliens and things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they've not been massively... I mean, they've made money because they were a kid draw for kids, but they weren't a thing where everyone was like, oh yeah, brilliant. They're kind of forgettable films. So they haven't really done anything, but as I say, I think they're coming into their own with being able to do such fantastic animations as they have done recently. And I just hope that continues. I hate to see them get pushed in a different direction that doesn't work for them.
Which, well, by the sounds of things, with them keeping Jeffrey Katzenberg on board, he'll be there for at least another 5 years, and I'm guessing it'll be like a transition period in that 5 years So with the keeping him on board, it'll still keep the spirit of DreamWorks and hoping it'll transition into something bigger.
Hopefully, yeah.
But you never know. During an interview with director Ridley Scott by Yahoo, Scott said Xenomorphs will not feature in Prometheus 2, as they are now finished. Scott said that after 4 standalone Alien films, the story of the Xenomorphs has already been fully told. Instead, he wants to concentrate more on the engineers.
I think that's kind of a bit of a faux pas, because we're still going to see some kind of a creature that's designed and created by the engineers. Because going back to Prometheus, and this is a long thing we'll get into, we won't get to it, but basically the whole thing of the aliens and the xenomorph were created because of humans messing with engineer stuff. Now we're going to see what the xenomorph would have looked like without them messing with it. So we're going to see the most pure form of it. We're going to see it'll be something different, but I think we're going to see it for what it really technically should have originally been.
Yeah, because this is actually the proper. If you listen to what Ridley Scott said before Prometheus was released, Prometheus was supposed to be the prequel to the prequel, and Prometheus 2 was going to be the prequel to Alien. So it was going to be set before Alien, and so it would actually fully bleed into it. So with no signs of xenomorphs whatsoever, it is going to be strange. And so I think what you've just said there is hit the nail on the head. That's how it's going to be. We're going to see a more pure form of the xenomorph, which leads into the one that we know of, the xenomorph, the true xenomorph's creations. It was just that Ridley Scott thought that with the passing of H.R. Geiger, he wanted to put his work to rest properly.
Mm-hmm. I just think as well, I have suspicions that, because originally they were going to do Prometheus as the first of a new trilogy, I have suspicions they may just do one more film and that'll be it. I don't think they'll push it more, because they can tell, I think there's not such the demand for it as there was with the Alien films.
Yeah, true. And I really do hope that he doesn't screw around the fans like he did with Prometheus. I don't hate Prometheus. I'm not one of those haters of Prometheus. Surprisingly, I'm not one of those haters of the film, because I actually quite liked it. Because if you watch it more than once, you start to see some of the ideas that Ridley Scott was going to go with the film, and so you understand where he took some of the direction. It has some problems, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah. And it's got a great making of thing, which is about 3.5 hours long on the 3D version of the Blu-ray.
Which I went out and bought the 3D version of the Blu-ray after I bought the film on Blu-ray. So the next couple of, my last news stories are a bit of throwaway one, especially the final one, which is ridiculous. But this one is just the official runtime for Christopher Nolan's latest film has been revealed. Interstellar will clock in at around about 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Really?
Making it his longest film to date. His previous longest film was The Dark Knight Rises, which came in just 5 minutes short of Interstellar.
I've actually read an early version of the script, and I can understand why it's that long thinking about it, but it does feel like he's making it long because he can. I don't necessarily think it needs to be that long from what I read, so obviously there might be things changed since then, but I'm looking forward to it. But God, that's going to be end of that, going to go stand up and my legs are just going to go, haha, you ain't going anywhere for a minute.
Yeah, he says it's more in line with Inception.
Yeah.
So
I have said to my other half that when we go to see this, because she wasn't interested originally, and she's seen the new trailer and she likes the look of it. But I said to her, if we're going to see this, we are going to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to see it in IMAX as well, because the seats are more comfortable and you get a bit more gap. So, final piece of news. Gosh. This is it's Hollywood dredging the bottom of the barrel beyond the bottom of the barrel. They've actually dug into the centre of the earth for ideas. But Threshold Entertainment have confirmed they're working on a science fiction movie adaptation of a video game. Do you want to guess what video game it is?
Pac-Man?
Tetris.
Ah.
Threshold CEO Larry Kasnoff said the movie will be an epic science fiction blockbuster that will not feature lines and blocks. Kasnoff originally brought the Mortal Kombat series to the big screen, so you know it's in brilliant hands.
See, I would just settle for a film about Tetris, but about the people playing Tetris.
Yeah.
About the whole thing of Tetris being an obsession and stuff like that, and because that I think would be really good. Be really simple, not a big budget effect thing that you just don't. No.
Look at Battleship. Oh, look
We're
at
not going to get started on that.
Please don't look at Battleship and Hungry Hippos. Hungry Hippos is still getting turned into a film. Yeah, box office top 10.
Yeah. Starting number 10 with Sextail.
Sex
Tape.
That's a really strange movie. Then
okay, so someone else has made a gaff this week on something, not me.
Have I actually put it on the website as Sextail?
You have put it on the website as Sextail. That's why I'm looking at it right now.
And I've actually got it written down as Sex Tape.
Yeah, so which is correct. Sex Tape, yeah.
I can't read my own writing then. Brilliant. Yeah, but it especially just for the site then, it's called Sextail, but Sex Tape, it's Jason Segel. It's just unfunny, really unfunny. It's just about a couple who upload their sex video that they've created into the cloud onto multiple iPads that they've given away as gifts, and now they need to try and get the iPads back. The idea is stupid. The movie is even worse.
Yeah. At number 9 is the Riot Club,
which we both haven't seen.
I just haven't had a chance, and I do want to see it. Just haven't had a chance.
I'm not though. I'm put off by movies that feature like high-end, upper-class people moaning about money and then do something despicable and think that they can get away with it. I know it's happened in films, and yeah, you can sort of like get away with it, but I just can't stand them. Considering that you're supposed to latch yourself onto characters in the films, I just would not be able to do that with the Riot Club.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it is one of those films that it's hard to like the characters in it at all because of that. Number 8 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
December 9th is when you can own it on Blu-ray, DVD and 3D Blu-ray, which I will be getting my copy.
Oh yeah, definitely doing that as well. Absolutely fantastic. Number 7 is Lucy.
Yeah, in the last 20 minutes it goes absolutely crazy, absolutely insanely crazy, but it's enjoyable for what it is, for the fact that it is a Luc Besson film.
Pride is at number 6.
Brilliant drama, brilliant comedy. And so when you mix them both together, you get the ultimate blend of a brilliant British film. It reminded me of watching Sunshine on Leith, because that had a fantastic blend of music and comedy with drama. In this case, it centres around a group of lesbians, gays and bisexuals who form this society to try and help the miners in 1984. However, things start to come ahead when news stories get released, the fact that these people are helping the miners, and then they get ridiculed and they have to change things around. It's just brilliant. Even if you grew up in the 80s, you knew about the miner strike, it's sort of like a pocket of stories that not very many people know about. And if you've only heard about it from your parents, you'll still enjoy it because there's a lot in this film to love. It's one of the best British films I've seen in the last few years, easily.
And number 5 is A Walk Among the Tombstones.
Yeah, Liam Neeson, just stop. This is a boring film. It's not as bad as some critics are making it out to be.
No.
But it's nowhere near as good as a lot of critics are making it out to be as well. He's not going taken full-on form in this movie. You might think that he is doing that if you watch the trailer. The trailer is very deceiving. As a matter of fact, the film has a very stoic, plodding plot to it. It's very slow in the way it plays out. It's just not interesting. I was wishing the film to end. Or as a matter of fact, I had things in my head just going, will you just had a bit of an action scene just to wake me up slightly? So I wasn't interested in the character. I wasn't interested in the plot. I wasn't interested in the film at all.
I quite liked it. I thought it was very downbeat, but I did come away from it. Obviously, I did come away from it. The first thing I said to my love when it finished, I said, I don't think that guy's directed anything else before, because it was very amateurish in the way it was done, and very rough around the edges. But I did like some elements of it, and I thought I did like the sort of downbeat elements of it. I thought worked fairly successfully. New entry at number 4 for What We Did on Our Holiday, which we'll be reviewing in a little while. Number 3, we've got The Box Trolls,
which I really liked. Leica has done a couple of films in Paranorman, and it was in Coraline. Coraline and Paranorman are much better films. But this one is still really good. It's got some fantastic stop motion animation. As a matter of fact, you need to stay and watch the credits, because the stop motion. There's a bit there where it shows you how some of the stop motion animation scenes is actually done, and it's fantastic. It's got some really interesting comedy jokes in the film. It's got some really dark elements, like its previous films, and so there is enough in there to entertain both parents and kids. A few kids in the screen that I went to got slightly restless at the movie, so I'm guessing they weren't as interested in the box troll characters, and they were slightly put off by some of the bug eating. But what do you expect? They're sort of like trolls in boxes. It's still an entertaining film.
Yep. Another new entry for this week's number 2 movie, The Equalizer, which we'll be reviewing in just a moment. But it means that the new number 1 movie, a live performance movie being shown, is Billy Elliot the Musical.
Yeah, and like I said on the website, this is it's a first for something like this. We know we're getting live events in the chart practically every week now, or every couple of weeks, and it's just really strange to see one at number 1.
Yeah,
it's done so well.
Meant to see this, but just wasn't. The other half wasn't well, so we ended up not going, which is a bit of a shame. But I mean, you can see it's done that well. Apparently, it was a lot of them were sellouts, and it's kind of weird because I actually wanted to see the Al Pacino live thing that was done with Salome and Wild Salome, the film that he directed and the documentary about making the film that he directed. And I went to see it, and because it had poor sales, they cancelled the showings. So
Brilliant.
It's weird. It goes to show you the difference.
Yeah, and if you look at the difference, if you go onto the website, I will change that sex tape, by the way, to sex tape. But if you go onto the website,
notice, really.
you'll see.
After all.
Yeah, you'll see the difference in takings, because Billy Elliot the Musical took 1,904,000. The Equalizer took 1,890,000. So there wasn't very much of a gap there, around about 20,000. So it just shows you how close the Equalizer was. But my guess is Billy Elliot the Musical wasn't even shown on as many screens as the Equalizer.
It wasn't shown. I know it did have more than one showing most days, but it wasn't a big. It only had a couple of days. But obviously there is the issue of rating and such, because I'll go on to the Equalizer now, which is directed by Anton Fuqua, is rated 15, and that's an edited 15. Similar to Walk Among the Tombstones, there's the only couple of films recently that have actually had edited made.
The Maze Runner will be as well.
Has actually got okay.
Yeah, it was originally going to be a 15, but they've cut out 48 seconds of the film to turn it into a 12 here.
That's quite excessive. That's quite long then. I'm not sure exactly how long has been cut out of this, but it does have cuts for some excessive violence and sort of graphic violence. It is the adaptation of the TV series from the 90s, which originally starred Edward Woodward. This role, the remake being played by Denzel Washington, playing Robert McCall, who is a man who we're introduced to him. He lives a sort of normal, quiet life. He works in a department store. He sort of just gets along by his life. You're introduced to him and shown that he has sort of an OCD issue with the way he lives his life, and he sets himself about doing things. He is sort of friendly, and he's helping this guy who works there who wants to become a security guard, so he's helping him to work out, lose weight, and be able to pass the test and stuff that is necessary for it. Every night you see him get up, go to a local all-night diner, sit there and have a cup of tea, where he normally meets this young prostitute played by Chloe Grace Moretz. Eventually one night she doesn't turn up. He finds out that she's been beaten quite badly, and he goes to speak to the men who are her pimps, the guys and sort of that are running the prostitutes in town. Here's a clip.
She got beat up pretty bad.
I'm thinking that maybe you have wrong address, Dedushka. This girl, she have a name?
Her name's Alina.
Alina? Mm-hmm. Ah, no, it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Look, I understand. These girls that you represent, I understand it's like they're an investment. So, I can give you $9,800.
For what?
For freedom.
Uh-huh. Посмотри на него. You think that you can come into my place of business and just buy whatever you want? beautiful Russian girls, no problem. Just throw that money. But you've got very big balls coming in here. I like that. So, $9,000 for the troublemaker. One month. That's it.
And as you can imagine, then things go from bad to worse there, and he ends up attacking and taking out the whole group there, which includes 5 guys, which we later find out are Russian gangsters. So here's the thing with The Equalizer. I'm someone who does remember the original series with Edward Woodward. I was a fan of it. I have recently seen a lot of the episodes again because they have been released on DVD. And this is the thing, to me, this is not The Equalizer. This is just a Denzel Washington film. And it's not even a very good Denzel Washington film. It's not a bad Denzel Washington film, but it's got so many problems, and the problem I have with it is that, well, it's boring. It's honest to God boring. It has far loads of sequences where you have nothing really going on, nothing happening, and it thinks it's being pensive and it's building up things and it's showing character. It's not. It's honestly, it tested my patience so much to a point that I actually nodded off for a second at one point. And I didn't miss anything, so I nodded off literally for a split second and then woke up. But still, the fact that I got there watching the film, it speaks volumes to me, in that the fact that the film did not keep my attention. You have this whole thing of, you have Martin Serkis, who is in it as this sort of head Russian gangster that gets brought in playing, the typical kind of thing he plays. If you've seen him in anything before, he's pretty much playing the same thing. Denzel Washington gives a good performance in it, but it's not Robert McCall as far as I'm concerned. It's not the character, because there are certain changes that they have. The whole thing about The Equalizer was this guy who had been in sort of a CIA or something clandestine and had enough, had seen it, the problems with it, and couldn't do it anymore, came back to a normal life, but found because of that he couldn't do a normal life anymore, so he had to then set about trying to use the skills he had to help people. I was actually angry as I walked out. This treated the character and made me think, basically, it just turned him into a serial killer. He's like Dexter. He is more like Dexter than anything else from the television series than anything else I've seen. Because it's just basically, something happens, he's in the situation there. There's a point you see in the trailer where a guy's holding up a woman at the cash desk, and he ends up giving her the money, and he's like, give me the ring. So he takes the ring off her finger and gives her that as well, and then she comes back and finds the ring is back in the thing the next day because of him. But she doesn't know it's because of him, but it's because of him because he's looking slowly, he's looking ahead, and you see him wiping down a hammer that's been used supposedly to help get it back, and then you see him later on in that scene where he's fighting the 5 guys, and it's just basically, it's like he has this Sherlock Holmes moment where he stands there thinking around a room thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, I've got this, and he goes through and does it, and at the end he's just sitting there going, well, you should have taken the money, that's it. He shows no sign of any emotion or compassion. He shows no regret of what he's doing. He shows nothing of, I really don't want to do this, I have to do it. It just really I thought it was just a horrible portrayal of the character, and I have no problem with Denzel Washington playing a serial killer and doing that, but that's not what this film should have been, and that's why I was really annoyed. And that's not why I really hate it, but I really hate it because it's boring. It has a big action set piece at the end, but it's a slow ass action piece where nothing really happens for ages, and I honestly got to the end of it and I was like, why? Such a waste. There was so much potential and so much. There's 4 years of a TV series and stories to go through and pick out bits and pieces and use some of them, and they use the name of Robert McCall and that's it. It really annoyed me.
I think the other half in the live chat though saying is thinking complete opposite though. By the sense of it, she enjoyed it.
She liked it, but she doesn't know the series. But the thing is, like I said, I didn't like it, and as I said, if it had been anything else, with him just being a vigilante, going out and killing people in revenge for things to stop them, and that's it. But it felt literally like just a Denzel Washington vigilante film. It did not feel like The Equalizer to me, which is why I have a big problem with it.
I know the TV series of The Equalizer because I grew up watching it as well.
Yeah.
My parents used to be a huge, big fan of The Equalizer. We used to watch it every single week, and I enjoyed it. And when I saw the trailer for The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, I was thinking, They just took the name of the TV program and the character name, and that's all they've done. And so, by what you've said there, that is the case.
It feels like that. It actually feels like it's a script they had for something else, and they went, "Oh, we could just call this character Robert McCall and make this the Equalizer, and do that." Someone's got the rights, and the rights are going to run out in a week, so we better do something. What I find interesting though is we're going to have a slightly different viewpoint of the film over here, considering I doubt the Equalizer, the TV series, would have made it over into America, or if it did, it wouldn't have garnered. Was it? It was American made.
I thought it was British.
No, it was American made. Just had Edward Woodward in it, but it was American made.
That surprised me. I thought it was a British TV program.
No, so it was definitely American made.
I wonder how it would play it out in America then. I wonder if they latched under it as much as we did.
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe not because of the fact that it was a British actor in it. Because there was that whole thing of... I mean, I was never into it, but there's obviously Callan, the series which had Edward Woodward, which then following from that has maybe gone on to it. I don't know how big Callan was over in America, but I can't imagine it was very big. So there's obviously going to be a connection there for the audience because there's a similarity. It's kind of like, Sean Connery as Bond and he turns up in The Rock with a similar kind of character, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right, on to the next film then. Maps to the Stars. It's directed by David Cronenberg. For me, he's a director who's very hit and miss. And this stars John Cusack, who plays Dr. Stafford Weiss, who's a head of his family. He's got a wife who looks after, let's just say, one of the nastiest 12-year-olds you're ever going to see. Ever. He is such a stuck-up child. Evan Bird, who plays him, he's such a stuck-up child. He's an actor who was just come out of rehab, not long come out of rehab. He went into rehab at the age of 9. So he was addicted to drugs at the age of 9. And every film set that he's on, or the friends who he's with, they're just venomous beyond belief. They pull people apart constantly. He's nasty to all of his stagehands, to the people who look after him, to the people who help him, to everybody like that. So his father, he's sort of like, in a way, a counsellor of some kind, and an analyst coach of some kind, and he has a person who goes to see him in the form of Julianne Moore's character, who plays Savannah Seagrant, who's also an actress, and she's looking into getting this part who her mother played in a remake of a film that she played in. She seems to have major troubles in being able to get this because, again, for some reason, she's a venomous character, just like most of the characters who embody this movie. Here's a clip which explains her spoilt side.
I thought that Gary Marshall was going to be there, that it was a meet. I didn't know that I was going to have to read. And then they gave me the wrong drive on, and I had to walk like a mile, and I stank by the time I got there. And then the casting director, who I know doesn't even acknowledge me, she just walks right by without saying a word. And then she tells me that she doesn't even know if Gary knows that I'm coming in. Now, this is Gary Marshall, not Bertolucci. His movies don't make money anymore, and I know Gary. And then she says they want to put me on tape, and I'm like, excuse me, but you need special makeup for that, or you look green. And she says, well, you can either tape or not. Like it's all some pointless exercise, and I just can't take it anymore, Jacob. I'm so tired, and it's so pathetic.
Thrown into this mix, you've got Mia Wasikowska's character, who plays Agatha Weiss, who... I'll not give away what I was going to say there, but she plays Agatha Weiss. That gives you a clue, her surname.
She has a connection.
She has she has a connection. She's a burn victim of sorts, and she wears gloves, and she ends up becoming Julianne Moore's sort of like right-hand person. So not a maid, but she helps her out in anything that she needs. And also, you've got a driver who's played by Robert Pattinson, and you've got cameos by Carrie Fisher in the film as well, and Olivia Williams, who plays the wife of John Cusack's character. And the film itself just centres around stars in Hollywood and how venomous they can get. Now, as I said, David Cronenberg is a director who's very hit and miss, in my opinion. His early stuff, like Shivers and The Brood, is really interesting movies. However, his later stuff, Cosmopolis and A Dangerous Method, I hated. Cosmopolis is a boring film, and a Dangerous Method, I just could not get with it. It wasn't interesting at all. I think it was down to the fact that Keira Knightley looked like her face was made of plasticine. And she always pulled this horrible grimace face, and I just couldn't latch onto the film. Surprisingly, though, I found Maps to the Stars quite interesting. Which, it honestly, after I watched the film, I was thinking to myself, have I actually been watching a David Cronenberg movie? Yes, the characters in the movie are really horrible, but it's interesting to see that side of Hollywood. To see that how despicable characters are, because you hear a lot about it in the press as the fact that some actress has took a wobbly, or she is such a drama queen, and the fact that she demands like green M&Ms and she needs puppies to line her dressing room, and it's interesting to see that kind of thing, not just on the actress side of thing, on the actor's side of thing, how young stars were like, and David Cronenberg gets that quite well. It has a horror feel to it as well, because Julianne Moore's character keeps on seeing these visions of something that can show her what she's doing is wrong. And so I found it, even though none of the characters are nice, to be an interesting, fascinating movie. And Julianne Moore is fantastic. I think she embodies the character she plays brilliantly well. I quite liked it.
I didn't like it as much as you did, but I found it very odd that it's much more of a mainstream thing from Cronenberg.
It is his most mainstream film. I agree with that.
And the thing is that it's not mainstream. You don't lose anything in it becoming mainstream. You still have this weirdness quality to it, especially with the whole thing of the visions that people see and stuff. And this whole thing. And I was watching it and getting into it, but also not getting into it. It kind of had this disconnected feeling for it. It reminded me a lot of Robert Altman's film. I think it was The Player, the one with Tim Robbins, who's a producer in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Very similar kind of vibe, and obviously having that kind of wretched look at the sickening side of the industry and that side of Hollywood, but it had these elements in it that it wasn't all the time, but there's moments when you're watching it and you're going, yeah, not interested in this bit, and then there's moments coming up, back to things, especially like saying Julianne Moore's character and all these certain bits where you're kind of like, yeah, this is good, this is really good, and then it does have its problems of these moments between the characters. I don't have a problem actually with Robert Pattinson in the film, but I have a problem with the scenes with him in it, because I don't think they're particularly well written. I think he's probably one of the weakest characters in it, and I think it could have actually been done without his character in it at all. I think it could have been taken out, but I don't think it's down to him. I think it's just down to the writing of it, and just down to maybe this whole thing of being not so weird. But I mean, it's perfectly enjoyable, perfectly good. If you're watching it, if you like David Cronenberg, you might be a little disappointed with it, but I think that if you don't like David Cronenberg, you might. It's kind of like Woody Allen films. If you don't like,
don't get me onto Woody Allen.
Oh no, but I don't like Woody Allen films. But I liked Midnight in Paris. I still haven't seen the new one. I forget the name of it, but I want to see that. But it's that kind of a thing. It's an odd one that I think will appeal to more people that don't like his stuff than do.
I definitely think it is one of Cronenberg's more mainstream films. Evidently, we've read it, the UK box office top 10, and it's not in the top 10. Find out tomorrow where exactly it went and how well it did at the box office. But it is... David Cronenberg's films suit more the small screen than the big screen. He has big ideas, but the scales of his films aren't big, to be honest. Even harken back to his earlier stuff, which I think that's when David Cronenberg was at his best, doing films like Videodrome and stuff like that, when he was at his really twisted, strange weirdness, rather than trying to do the movies that he's doing now. But it was nice to actually see Cronenberg direct a film which I enjoyed, because I did really like his early stuff. I don't like his later stuff.
Okay, so the last film released this week is What We Did on Our Holiday, a small British film which is written and directed by Guy Jenkins and Andy Hamilton, who are the guys responsible for the BBC TV series Outnumbered. They've taken basically the same kind of formula of parents and their kids and the drama set around that. This time, though, you have different actors and different cast, with Rosamund Pike and David Tennant playing a couple who are separated. They're living in separate properties. She's living with the kids still. They're getting everyone ready. They're travelling from London back up to Scotland to see his father, played by Billy Connolly, who is 75 years old and having his 75th birthday. Hasn't been well recently, so they're getting everyone together to have a big grand birthday thing. So what he decides to do, David Tennant's character, is decide he's going to drive the car with all of them there, get them all up there, and it's just going to be a simple case of them getting up there and being there, pretending to be a family because they don't want to upset his father. Here's a clip.
So our best friends are stones now?
No, not all of them. Some of them are bricks.
Well, have you spoken to anyone about it?
What, like a geologist? No, this thing hates me.
Just saying that, obsessive collecting, it's rather abnormal behaviour for a child.
Oh, she's behaving abnormally, is she? I wonder why.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Abby, just get... OK, sweetie.
Everything all right?
I need a list.
A list?
Yeah, of the lies we're going to tell, in case I forget one. That is a clove hitch. It's just a list would be really helpful.
No, has anyone seen my house keys?
Oh, M25, slow moving between... Keys. Well, everywhere.
It's just a list would be really helpful.
Darling, it's really very simple. It's Grandad's 75th birthday party, and we don't want to upset him because he's been a bit poorly.
He's getting better now.
Yes, but... Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
Mummy, you're not supposed to say Jesus' name like that.
Oh, no, that's all right, darling. It's because I'm asking for his help.
To stop the car alarm.
Yeah. See? Thank you, Jesus.
Right, come on, all aboard.
So, when they get up there, they then meet his brother, played by Ben Miller, and his wife, played by Emilia Jones. Sorry, no, I've got the wrong name here. I don't have a name. They get there, sort of meet them. Everything's going fine. His brother's a bit uptight and everything, and so there's this obvious sort of aggravation between the brothers and their father, who is then goes out with the kids on a trip and sort of takes care of them for the day while everyone's getting the party ready. The movie, I'm not going to go into this of what, but the movie takes a twist and does something different that you wouldn't be expecting to happen, but then it does this whole thing where the story changes but still continues in the same vein of these three kids and the way that they view the world, the way they say things and do things that just makes you laugh. And it does this from the very start right to the very end. It continuously cracks you up. It's just the fact that they did something very clever with this film, is that they had a script, they let everyone have a read of the script and have a story and everything ready and be ready for it, except for the fact that the kids were not allowed to read the script. The kids were basically ad-libbing, being told this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and then they're just allowed to do things like asking questions and act as children do. And that's where a lot of the humour comes, because they're just, as kids do, they say stupid things, they ask stupid things, and then they ask more stupid things, and they ask more things. And there's a whole clip that you've seen in the trailer to do with Ben Miller's character, who is a tradesman. He works on the stock market and stuff. And so he says, he's a short seller, and the kids are saying the whole thing of, oh, are you sell shorts? Not getting that kind of thing. So that kind of thing in it. And I just found this really charmingly funny. I really enjoyed it. I think I actually laughed more than Pride. And it's a very different film, because obviously Pride's a whole real thing, true story thing. This is a drama, a comedy thing, but it's got some brilliant moments in there, especially because of the kids, and also because of Billy Connolly, who's clearly ad-libbing some of his lines, but he comes up with some stuff that is just brilliant, especially scenes with him and the kids that are just hysterical. And I just have to applaud the fact of that having a film with 3 kids in it is this funny and not annoying, because normally you have kids in a film and they're either funny or they're annoying, and to have 3 of them in there and all of them be funny from beginning to end, I was honestly surprised at just how much I really laughed at this and how much I enjoyed it.
Right, that's it for the cinema section of the show. We'll be back in a moment with the home release section.
From page to screen. So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, now that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. Everybody's like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
And we are back with this week's Monday Movie Show to our home releases and DVD and Blu-ray section, during which we will have a look at the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10 and then these new releases.
Yeah, Hayao Miyazaki's final film for Studio Ghibli with The Wind Rises, 300 Rise of an Empire, Postman Pat the Movie, Blended, Fading Gigolo, and Dario Argento's Dracula in 3D. But it's not released in 3D on home release.
Yep, but before that we're going to go into the DVD and Blu-ray top 10.
And at number 10 is The Lego Movie.
Yeah, everything is awesome, still is. I'm surprised it's not in there to be honest, because it's hung around doing really well for itself, but I didn't think it would still be in the top 10 at this point.
And if you look really carefully, you can find it for around about £7 on Blu-ray. So if you don't own it, then there you go, £7 on Blu-ray. That's a really good deal, that. At number 9 is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean, this is the still again another one I'm surprised still hanging around, but for no reason other than it's just been out for a while. It is fantastic. It is 3 hours long, but it's a great performance from Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's a heck of a lot funnier than I was expecting it to be as well. It really surprised me, and I really enjoyed it.
And number 8 is a new entry for Tokarev.
I don't really know much about this. It is a film.
I do.
As far as Nicolas Cage. Well, you had it as Rage, but it's Tokarev. Yeah. And I haven't seen this yet, but you were saying about that it's typical Nicolas Cage fare, isn't it?
Yeah, because I reviewed it on the last show, and it's Nicolas Cage trying to be Liam Neeson. Trying so hard to be Liam Neeson, but the worst thing is he's trying to be Liam Neeson in Taken 2. If you try to copy Neeson, copy him in any other film apart from Taken 2. Tokarev is really bad. And number 7 is Sabotage.
Which is, well, let's say it is the worst of David Ayer's cop movies. Obviously, other ones that not necessarily that he directed, but he wrote things like Training Day. He did End of Watch and Street Kings, and I really liked a lot of them. I didn't mind Sabotage, but it definitely is hitting far below the level that it should have. It just should have been so much more than it is, and it's really just it's not on. It's poor. It's really poor. It shouldn't be this. It shouldn't really be in the top 10 at all.
Yeah, I think Sabotage is one of those films where it's just rinse, repeat. It copies itself over and over and over again. I didn't find the film interesting at all. Number 6 is Arrow Complete second series.
Yeah, I mean it's a TV series, but I gotta say I really do like this. I really enjoyed the second series of Arrow better than the first series. And if you like sort of the whole thing of superheroes and everything, you probably will enjoy this.
Do you think I should get back into it? Because I watched season 1 halfway through and got bored.
I think you should, because the second season they kind of rebranded it a little and they changed it a bit, but I think for the better.
Considering how much TV I watch, I'm more looking forward to the new series American Horror Story. So the American Horror Story Freak Show is what I'm waiting for, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. And number 5 is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Which, I like it. I enjoyed it. I watched it again recently, and I still think it has problems that it's too long, that it's got too much stuff in it which should have been taken out, or things that were taken out that should have been put back in. And it does feel kind of like not Amazing Spider-Man 2, like Amazing Spider-Man 1.5, because it's kind of setting up the other films and doesn't really resolve everything that it sets up in this one. So it's good, I enjoyed it, but it's not anywhere near as good as it should have been.
And number 4 is Frozen.
Yeah, I mean, again, fantastic, brilliant. If you haven't seen it, then do see it. It's classic Disney, and it's got that classic Disney vibe to it.
Did you see the news story that's come out about this woman who's suing Disney for $250 million because the fact that they're taking something like 16 different excerpts out of a life story for Frozen, considering that Frozen is based on a Hans Christian Andersen story, The Snow Queen.
So it's just the world's full of crazy people.
Majorly crazy people. And number 3 is Bad Neighbours.
Which is... It's not bad. It's not good. It's very humdrum. I do have to admit I did laugh at parts of it, and I did enjoy some parts of it. But I found a lot of it very dribbled, and it really did sort of stretch out its content far more than it needed to, and it had this weird thing of that it kind of didn't know what it wanted to be, but it was better than I was expecting it to be.
And number 2 is Pompeii,
which I quite enjoyed considering it's a PTA Paul Thomas Anderson film. Paul Anderson, Paul Thomas. I get the two of them.
W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah, I get the two of them mixed up. And I'm not a big fan of most of his films. It's not his best film. It's an okay film. It is a disaster film. It's the kind of thing, but I like the fact that it's a disaster film where it's not just everyone. Oh, look, there's a volcano. Run away from it. It's actually people doing stuff while this is happening around them, which is kind of, I think, is a bit more realistic. I like the whole thing of people going about their lives and then this disaster happens and they're still doing what they're doing, but just all this going on around them.
It's completely brain dead. Kit Harington is really good in it. However, I think he's okay in it. I think who steals the show the most? It's got to be the scene-chewing brilliance that is
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, he just absolutely chomps away at his character, and I think it needed that. I think without that character, though.
I quite like the whole the Adawai. I can't say his name.
Yeah, I know which one.
Yeah, the guy who is his confident friend, and the thing is, it wants to be Gladiator. It even has similarities with Gladiator of the best friend who's there and backs him up and defends him and stuff, and it wants to be that, but it's not.
Yeah, and at number 1, it's a new entry for Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return.
Yeah, I don't know about this. Didn't even know about this. I just had to look at it just now. It's an animated film that's been done based on one of the Oz novels and set after the whole thing of Wizard of Oz, and where Dorothy somehow ends up finding herself back in Oz and having to help save her friends. So, don't really know anything about it. Can't say anything about it, but it's an animated film and seems to be doing well. It must be a cheap thing or something that's come out and in the straight-to-video section that we've overlooked.
Yeah, I can answer that. 1, no, it isn't, because it got a theatrical release.
Okay.
Surprisingly. Yeah, 2, there's 9, if I remember correctly, 9 novels in the Oz series, and The Wizard of Oz is the second one in the series, if I remember correctly. So this is the 4th book in the series, I think it is, because obviously you've got the sequel to The Wizard of Oz, which had Fairuza Balk in it.
Return to Oz, yeah.
Yeah, Return to Oz. So, yeah, it's the 4th one. So it's Dorothy returning again for a 3rd time. She likes Oz.
Yeah, we haven't seen it though, and probably won't see it. And I mean, it's going straight to number 1, so it'll be telling how well it's doing. By next week, we'll see where it is in the top 10. If it's dropped down some, or if it's dropped down a lot. It's got
no chance, considering the releases out this week of being number 1 next week.
Well, yeah, but it's a question of how high it still is in the top 10, or if it's even in there at all. I mean, if it's gone, then we know it completely. People rushed to buy it and then went, "Oh, this is rubbish, don't buy it," to everyone, and no one did.
By the name of Wizard of Oz, they just thought, "Oz, ooh, got to get that." I think it's down to the fact that the Wizard of Oz got an IMAX release for the week. It just ties perfectly into that.
That is, yeah, because it's the
75th anniversary.
75th, yeah. So I mean, and it even had got an IMAX adaptation. An IMAX release seems to, draw people to it. So we've got that. Anyway, let's go on to our first DVD release this week,
which is The Wind Rises, and you were supposed to review it. And I'm really eager to actually hear a review from you for a Studio Ghibli film, because I think every Ghibli film we've had on the show I've reviewed.
I do want to see it. I just honestly, I was trying to do things today, and as a part of what was fallen out from last night, and I just couldn't really watch it and focus on it. And I didn't want to give it a half-assed review of, oh yeah, watch it, and I was doing it at the time. So that's why I contacted you and said, can you still do it?
Yeah, so it is The Wind Rises. It's directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It's also known as Kazuya Tachinu. I have to get it right. And it centers, actually, I'll play the clip because it centers around Jiro, who is, he dreams of becoming, and he just dreams of becoming a pilot. This clip actually sets that up.
Mr. Caproni, may I ask you a question? I know I can't be a pilot because of my eyesight. If I'm not a pilot, can I still design airplanes?
Japanese boy,
I've been around planes all my life. You know how many I've flown? None! Not a one! Many can fly airplanes, but I designed them. I create airplanes, and so can you. An aeronautical engineer!
Yes!
But remember this, Japanese boy. Airplanes are not tools for war. They are not for making money. Airplanes are beautiful dreams. Engineers turn dreams into reality.
Yes.
Arrivederci! We'll meet again!
And so in that clip there, you heard the brilliant voice of Stanley Tucci, who plays Caproni, who's only in the opening section of the film. And surprisingly, he does the voice of Caproni in the Japanese version of the film, the Japanese dub of the film as well. So, because it is actually in English. Even though the character's Italian, he's in English. And so they never decided to try to do it in Japanese, which is just a surprising thing. And Jiro is a huge, massive fan of his. However, he has a problem with his eyesight. He just can't see properly, and so unfortunately he can't become a pilot. He does become a designer. He becomes, a matter of fact, one of the best designers in the world. And the film itself is set in 1927, but it goes back in time at points in the movie to some of the disasters that Harker's Jiro's life. The fact that you've got an earthquake which hits Japan in 1923, you've got the Great Depression, you've got when Japan was plunged into war. And so the film itself plays out with Jiro trying to create planes for the Japanese aeronautical area and try to create aircrafts which could help them in the war itself. But you also see the happy side of Jiro's life, the fact that he meets up with a girl who's voiced by Emily Blunt in the American voiceover one, or Miro Takamoto, who plays Naiko. And he falls in love with her. He befriends her at first, but then he falls in love with her. And unfortunately, something bad happens to her, in the fact that she contracts TB and tuberculosis. And he needs help from his friend, who's voiced by John Krasinski in the American one, and Tashi Nishijima, who plays Honjo in the Japanese one. And so it's just mainly about Jiro's life, and how he has to go through some of the bad parts of his life while he's creating these aircrafts, and the good stuff of his life, the fact that that Honjo and Naiko just bring the brightness of his life out of it. And it's actually based on a true story as well. Miyazaki did change a few things about the true story of it, which annoyed a few people in Japan. However, that didn't stop The Wind Rises being stupidly successful, just like what Studio Ghibli films are like. You look at Spirited Away, that broke box office records in Japan, and The Wind Rises is a fitting end to Miyazaki's career. This is his most serious, straightforward film, his most human film, because if you look at Miyazaki's previous work, he adds a fantastical element to his movies, and this doesn't feature that. This sort of reminded me of From Up on Poppy Hill, which was done by Goro Miyazaki, his son, and the fact that that was Ghibli at its most straightforward. It didn't have any of the strange characters that you normally expect in these kind of films, and that was the case with The Wind Rises. That does not stop The Wind Rises from being an amazing movie, because I know I'm slightly biased when it comes to Ghibli. I'm a huge fan. This is the 20th film. I have all 20 films on DVD and Blu-ray, which includes some of the strangest ones as well. Only Yesterday, My Neighbor the Yamadas, etc. And I cannot wait for The Tale of Princess Kaguya, because by the sounds of it, it might be Ghibli's final film. And that one's done by Isao Takahata, and the animation style in that is sort of like pencil drawing, and it looks beautiful. This is the same. It has Studio Ghibli's hallmark stamp all the way throughout it. You've got the beautiful hand-drawn animation. You've got the absolutely sumptuous painting backgrounds that Miyazaki likes to insert into his films. There's less of it in this one compared to his previous work, but you still get absolutely jaw-dropping backgrounds where, yeah, they don't move, but it adds a sort of like an extra breath to the film itself. I adored this movie. It's no surprise that I would like it, and there might be a time that I might not like a Ghibli film. You never know. The Tale of Princess Kaguya might be a bad Ghibli film. I've yet to see a bad Ghibli film, and this is their 20th film. So 20 out of 20 for me. It's outstanding.
Okay, so I'll go on to 300 Rise of an Empire, which is the sequel to 300, the movie which is directed by Zack Snyder. This one is directed by Noam Morrow, with Snyder as a writer and producer on it. You have, in this movie, Sullivan Stapleton plays a general in the Greek armies, plays Themistocles, who is sort of one of the lead generals in the Greek army, fighting the Persians that are being led by Xerxes from the first film, and they're being led by Artemisia, played by Eva Green. You have this all sort of happening, kind of overlapping the end of 300 and then continuing onwards from it after it, in this sort of continuation of the whole 300 story. But it focuses largely on the Greeks and not on the Spartans that were in the first film. It has very little to connect with them, apart from the whole thing of that it's the Persians and the god King Xerxes who turns up at certain points. I don't have a clip for it because every clip is always sort of people fighting and not very much dialogue. And the thing is that it's really quite terribly put together. It's just loads of really badly CGI'd action sequences of people fighting on beaches and fighting on ships, and very, very terrible. It kind of slows down every now and again for a moment, but then it does weird things like slows down so that the characters of Themistocles and Artemisia can meet up, kind of have sex and fight, and then go, I'll see you on the battlefield, and that's it. And it's really just weird, and it's honestly quite a terrible, terrible film. It has none of the style of 300. It focuses too much on CGI battles and CGI backgrounds and all that kind of thing, and it has this whole thing of that it doesn't have any characters in it in particular you can care about. Sullivan Stapleton is really like a piece of wood on the screen. He's just acting terribly on it, and I honestly think it's very, very, very little to do with the 300, the original one, that it could be just really considered an offshoot that you don't need to worry about at all. It's terrible. It's a horrible film, and it really, really is completely unnecessary and a whole waste of time and money.
Yeah, how can a film with that much action in be so boring?
It actually takes it past Michael Bay level of boring action.
And that's saying something.
It is.
Right, Postman Pat. You're probably interested in what I think about Postman Pat, the movie, because, yep, I got the short straw. I watched Postman Pat, the film. It's directed by Mike...
You like animated films, don't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't call this animated, to be honest. But it's directed by Mike Disse, and it centres around the lovable postman in Postman Pat, who's voiced, strangely in the film, by Stephen Mangan, and then his singing voice is done by Ronan Keating. Which is even more strange considering that, I'll get onto it in a little bit, but it centres around Pat. He lives in the town of Greendale. He's with his wife and his kids, and Pat is about to go out on his daily postman round. Here's a clip.
Oh, thanks, Jess. Wouldn't do to forget my hat on such a lovely morning.
Oh, Pat, that's not all you forgot.
Thanks, love.
Of course, Jess. Extra milk and no coffee.
Ah, you're so thoughtful, Sarah. This year, I'm finally taking you on a proper honeymoon, I promise.
Oh, you mean it, Pat? I've always dreamed of a holiday in Italy.
Really? Italy? Do you suppose that's why I sent away for some hotel recommendations in Rome?
Oh.
I'll be getting my bonus today. I'll use it to book our flights. Whoa!
Sorry, Dad. I'm practicing the trick shot you taught me.
Come on then, Julian. What have you got?
Are you sure, Dad? I'm getting pretty good.
Now, remember what I taught you. Stay loose. You've got to stay loose. Keep it loose. Yes! Nice one, son. You're getting better every day. I hear them cheering for you in the stands right now. Pencaster United!
Dad, I don't play for Pencaster yet.
Ah, come on. You'll be in the team before you can say boo to a goose.
And so in the clip there, you heard that Pat is going to get a bonus at work for what he's actually been able to do, so he can take his wife on holiday to Italy. However, when he gets to work, he finds out that it's a new guy has been brought in who's voiced by Robin Atkin Downes. He's brought into the work to try and make it more streamlined, and unfortunately everybody's lost their bonuses, which forces Pat to go home. He's about ready to tell his wife when on TV comes an X Factor style show called The One, hosted by Simon Cowbell. See what they did there? And they come up with a brilliant idea of Pat to go onto the show because the show is coming to Greendale. He auditions with the voice of Ronan Keating. He's a massive hit, and so he could win a holiday to Italy, surprise, surprise, and a recording contract. However, while he's doing that, a Greendale, Patbots are being brought in because the now new guy at the head of the post office thinks it's the best way to streamline everything. First off, if you've seen the trailer, you know how bad the animation is. The animation is just really... it's on a level of terribleness. It's up there with Top Cat the movie on how bad the animation is. It's got no depth to it. It's got no emotion to it. There is when you see the opening sequence is Pat driving around Greendale, and you would expect some good foliage in the trees or flowers in the fields, and just some emotion from some of the characters of how pleased they are to meet him. And the initial thing that you get is this looks really flat. It's like the whole film was made out of plasticine. But not plasticine in the brilliant way that you normally see in Wallace and Gromit or the stop motion stuff what Leica do. Just plain old plasticine like a 5-year-old's managed to cobble together the characters. And that's also what the heart of the film is like. It's a beating heart that's ready to collapse, to be honest. Because the story is so plodding, there aren't any decent elements of the film at all. It doesn't flow very well. It's not funny, apart from... that clip there, right at the end of the clip, Jess has managed to blow up a football, and she goes flying around and then smacks into the car, smacks off the windscreen of the car and just peels back. That is the funniest scene in the entirety of the film. It garnered a tiny, tiny smirk, but I think I had gas then as well. So the film itself, as a kid's film, they'll not enjoy it, even if they're a fan of the TV series. And adults will hate kids if they do enjoy it, because then they have to suffer through this movie over and over again. Just watch a couple of episodes of Postman Pat the TV series.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to my last film, because you've got a couple after this, but my last film is Blended, which is the Adam Sandler comedy where you have him and the character played by Drew Barrymore. At the start of the film, we see them going on a blind date in the Hooters bar of all places, which goes absolutely terrible because he's not particularly great on the day. He's there to sort of watch the sports on the screen. He's just out like on a normal night. He's not really out there as a date for the couple of them. It turns out that things go sort of messed up and they end up getting swapped with all their cards and everything. So he ends up trying to finding her and get in touch with her so they can get their cards back from each other. Here's a clip.
I'm Jim. I'm not a threat.
Jim? The blind date guy? You said that was a disaster.
Oh, it was.
You said he was a chubby loser. He is. You didn't mention he has that high, phlegmy voice, like he drinks a lot of dairy. I know.
Standing right here, ladies. Hearing everything.
All right, our cards got switched, so we're just dealing with that. What happened with Dick?
He just dropped a major bomb on me.
He's married.
No, worse. He's got kids.
Oh, you're still here. Why?
You still have my card. Why?
Wait, you're just gonna break up with him because he has children?
5 children. 5.
And wouldn't you know it, that Adam Sandler's character has 3 girls and Drew Barrymore's character has 2 boys. Again, 5 children. When she sort of, the woman who's a friend of Drew Barrymore's character decides she's not going to go out on holiday with this guy and not going to go on this retreat thing. So of course, Adam Sandler's character and Drew Barrymore's characters, as you would, decide they'll take the tickets, they go on this resort thing in Africa, where they then end up, and see if you can sort of predict as to what will happen. Oh, are they going to sort of get together or not? You know, is things going to happen that they're going to find, they need the other person to be there and stuff, and their kids start out hating each other and then getting along, and you can kind of, decide that for yourself. But I would say decide that for yourself and don't bother watching it, because it's just not... It's Adam Sandler doing the same unfunny things in it. And I have to admit, I laughed a couple of gags in it because of the fact that there were gags done by the kids. There was a gag involving a let's say a fireman's pole, and there was a gag involving what was that again? An ostrich, I can't remember, but there was a gag involving that, which was kind of, okay, I like that. But other than that, the rest of the whole film, I just was really just sitting there kind of with this confused look on my face and going, this is supposed to be funny? And even the whole thing, I mean, you got Terry Crews turns up as a weird kind of racist host, and trying to be funny, and he's literally sitting there going, how did they get Terry Crews in this? I mean, he's trying, what's going on there? And I just found that really distracting as well. And all the way through it, I was kind of sitting there going, what? Really? What? Adam Sandler's doing this now, still? It's the same kind of thing he was doing in Happy Gilmore, which is a clip you heard at the beginning of the show, which was in like 1990. Move on, do something different. Go back and do a drama film. Stop doing really crappy comedies which just aren't funny.
See, the thing is, though, he tries to shoehorn a drama element into this film, but it's such a maniacal way he does it.
It's not even dramatic, though.
Yeah, but he is trying to force a drama element into the movie. He's trying to force it so badly into the movie. You're asphyxiating on it. And I think I hated the film more so than you. As a matter of fact, I hated the movie so much it is in my top 10 worst films of the year, because it made me angry. The film is terrible, and I didn't laugh at all, even at the kids stuff, because it was such predictable stuff that they were doing. I didn't find it funny.
Oh, yeah, it's predictable.
It made me really angry, and when movies make me angry after watching, especially a movie that's supposed to make you laugh, then it definitely did the wrong thing. And so, in my opinion, it is top 10 worst films of the year material.
Maybe, I'm not sure if it's not. It's definitely in my top 20, but it's just it's kind of. I'm beyond getting mad at Adam Sandler films now. I can't get sad. I can't get mad at them anymore. I'm just literally there, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Right. We'll go on then. I've got two films to do in Finding Gigolo, and I'll get on to Dario Argento's Dracula in a moment. But Finding Gigolo is directed by John Turturro, and it stars John Turturro himself as Fioravante. That's his character in the film, Fioravante. It actually is pronounced like that. And also Woody Allen, who plays his friend Murray. And Murray comes up with this brilliant idea to get Fioravante some money after his flower store has to close down. He persuades Fioravante to become, let's just say, he's a pimp, Woody Allen, and Fioravante he's gigolo kind of person. He's a clip.
You need a young, slick, leading man type.
This is exactly my point.
I am not a beautiful man.
Did I say you were beautiful? But you have a different quality. You have a certain kind of sex appeal. Is Mick Jagger a beautiful man? The guy who opens his mouth to sing. It's a horror. But he's hot. Mick is hot. And that's what you have. Let me ask you a question. You look good without your clothes, right?
How do you know?
Because some guys just look better when they're naked. I figure you're one.
What does that have to do with Mick Jagger? He's rich and he's famous.
Yes, but you're sexy.
Says who?
Says me.
You're a sick man. You need help.
I go for help twice a week.
You need a guy like Tom Ford or George Clooney.
You're not that. You're a man's man in a certain way. You know, you're not afraid to get dirty. You get your hands dirty. You work with plants, earth. You're with wires and plumbing and drain pipes and bowls. You do disgusting work. You're not afraid. Hey, you're disgusting in a very positive way. Thank you.
And so it set up the character, the fact that he is becoming a gigolo. He falls for one of his clients in the form of Vanessa Paradis. She plays Abigail, who is somebody who is sort of like downtrodden. The first meeting that they have, she cries just before he's about to have sex with her. He sort of like gets to know them first. He dances with them, makes them nice meals, gives them massages before he has sex with them. But she breaks down and cries, and the more he starts to see her, the more he starts to get with her, and the more he discovers what is wrong with her life. Also in the film, you've got Sophie Vergara, who plays one of these clients, Sharon Stone, who initially comes up with the idea that she gives to Woody Allen's character. You've also got a self-policing person in the form of Liev Schreiber, who plays a guy who he's not like a neighborhood watch, but he thinks that he's a police person who goes around the neighborhood and suspects that something is happening. The thing with Fading Gigolo is it's stoic at best. It's very boring. It's just Woody Allen just going through all of his lines as Woody Allen normally does. That's why a lot of people find Woody Allen really annoying, because he can direct films, he can't act, he can't star in these movies, and the film is not interesting. It's just a John Turturro movie which he's wrote for himself. He wrote a character he thinks, I want to be in a movie where I play a gigolo, where I get to have sex with multiple people, and it's just a self-indulgent film. It's really self-indulgent and not a funny one, not an interesting one, just a quite stomach-churning one at times, because you do not want to see John Turturro naked. You don't want to now see Sharon Stone open her legs anymore.
In the Transformers films.
Sharon Stone open her legs anymore after she did Basic Instinct 2. As soon as she did that movie, you just I don't want to see that. Just any of the only one who you're slightly interested in maybe seeing any kind of body part of is Sophie Vergara and Vanessa Paradis, because Vanessa Paradis is actually a pretty beautiful French woman. But it's just, you think to themselves, they've managed to get them two to play these kind of characters, and it's very self-indulgent and not in the good way. It's boring and not funny.
Okay, and your last film?
The absolutely god-awful Dario Argento's Dracula. Now, Dario Argento was a part of the Giallo scene. It's a scene in the 70s where a lot of big Italian directors created sort of like... It was the birth of the controversial movies, the video nasties in a way, and there were movies that pushed the boundaries of films. You've got your Cannibal Holocausts and things like that. He did Demons. This is Dario Argento attempting to do an English language movie in the form of Dracula, and it follows the exact same story that you've heard before. It centers around a small little town. You've got Rutger Hauer, who plays Van Helsing. He's asked to come to this town because something bad is happening and he needs to try and stop it. You've got Dracula, who's played by Thomas Kretschmann. And you've also got Asia Argento, which is Dario Argento's daughter, in the film. And creepily, he's obsessed with seeing her naked. And that is just really, really freaky and creepy to get your father to sort of like lecturize over you when you're naked in a movie. And the film itself is an abomination, to be honest. I'd rather, and this is no lie, I'd rather watch Van Helsing again. And I hate Van Helsing. Van Helsing
Van Helsing.
I hate it. I really hate Van Helsing. It's a really bad... I think it's Hugh Jackman's worst film. That I don't include movie 43, even though he's got a part in that. That movie is rotten.
Pretty terrible.
Van Helsing, as Hugh Jackman is the lead character in a film, I think it's his worst film. Van Helsing is a better film than this, because what Dario Argento's gone and done is he's got Italian directors, Italian actors to speak English Very badly broken English at that. The special effects are atrocious. He has Dracula. Now, Dracula has been known to transform into a bat, and in some stories into a wolf. In this film, he transformed into an owl and a fly.
Is it Dracula and the Goblet of Fire?
Yeah, it's very Harry Potter owl. And also into a fly. There is a scene where there is a fly at a town meeting in a church, and the fly materializes into Dracula and he slaughters everybody inside this church. And yeah, honestly, as a horror fan like myself, this makes me hate the genre. It really does make me hate the genre. And the worst thing for you is the fact that Kat is in the live chat and she'll be wanting to watch this movie just to see how bad it is.
She'll probably want to watch it because she tends to like the things you don't like.
Yeah, trust me. Please trust me on this, Kat. Do not watch this film. Under any circumstances, don't even be tempted to watch the movie. Because it's Dario Argento's worst film by a country mile. When I was scoring the film itself, because I've been scoring movies over the year to make it easier for me to actually come up with my top 10 and bottom 10 lists at the end of the year, I gave this a 2. And I'm looking at the number and I'm thinking to myself, why did I even give it a 2? What made me think that in the movie it deserves a 2? So I might even go back and rescore it to a 1. It is that bad. It's atrocious.
So that's it for this week's Monday movie show. Just a few quick shout outs to we've got a couple of things we were doing, then our TV movie, and finally movie of the week. But if you've been listening to us live, thank you for joining us. If not, then you should know really where to find us, because you would have found us on mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You'll also find us on Twitter at Monday Movie Show. You can find Stuart at Cryptic Tadpole, myself at AHDVD on Twitter, on Facebook at facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. And you can also then, please feel free to check out a couple of our friend sites. We've got Following the Nerd, which is on every Thursday night. Stuart pops on there and does the UK box office top 10 as well. It's followingthenerd.com. You have FromPageToScreen.com, which you heard the ad in the middle of the show is with FromPage2Screen.com. And also please check out the Seren Foundation .org.uk, which is a foundation we do, a charity we do. Ask if you can have a look at that and support them. So that's it until next week's show. We've got now our TV movies of the week. What one have you got? Because I've got Panic Room on Friday the 3rd.
Well, I haven't got Panic Room, so go into Panic Room a little bit.
Yeah, which is David Fincher's film, which I think is a very overlooked film. A lot of people didn't see it when it came out in the cinema, but it is got a sort of a cult following because of being directed by David Fincher, who I love. It is a great little film and a good performance from Kristen Stewart as well. It's on Friday the 3rd on Film 4 at 11 p.m.
Yeah, and my film is on Film 4 on Thursday the 2nd of October at 1 a.m. in the morning. And it is the absolutely brilliant Julia's Eyes with Bella Ruder in it. Fantastic film about a woman who's slowly losing her eyesight, and she starts to see fragments of strange things just out of the eyesight that she has got. It's an amazing little creepy movie. So I highly recommend Julia's Eyes.
What time is it again?
1 a.m. on Thursday the 2nd. So 1 a.m. in the morning.
1 a.m. Thursday night or 1 a.m. Wednesday night, Thursday morning?
No, it's not. Wednesday night ends at midnight. A new day begins at 12:01, which is Thursday the 2nd of October. 1 a.m. is Thursday morning.
Okay. Just doing it to clarify.
You know where it is anyway. You're just being facetious and an idiot.
Monday. Okay, movie of the week.
Mine is obviously The Wind Rises.
Yeah, didn't really surprise at that. I think I'm going to say What We Did on Our Holiday, because I did not like The Equalizer. But that's it for this week. We'll be back with you next week. We'll confirm the date on the website when we do have it.
It will be a Tuesday.
No, hopefully we'll manage to make that. But we'll leave you now with a clip of David Fincher's latest film, Gone Girl, which comes out next week. Actually starts showing in cinemas on Thursday, so you can see it quite early. And it's based on the book and stars Ben Affleck as a man who's accused of killing his wife who has disappeared, played by Rosamund Pike. We're going to leave you with a clip where the two of them meet for the first time, so until next week, we'll say bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Who are you?
A, I'm an award-winning scrimshander. B, I'm a moderately influential warlord. C, I write personality quizzes for magazines.
Okay. Well, your hands are far too delicate for real scrimshaw work. And I happen to be a charter subscriber to Middling Warlord Weekly, so I recognize you. I'm gonna go with C.
And you? Who are you?
I'm the guy to save you from all this awesomeness.